Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. My name's Mark Angelo.
And I'm Lena Ariel.
And welcome, guys. Welcome to our home, because this is our home, and we welcome you every evening, or at least 5 days a week. We try to our humble abode, or abode, or whatever.
It's a nice warm abode at this point, because we've got some winter weather.
Oh gosh, this morning we woke up and it was like snowing, but it wasn't sticking. But I think the way it looks out there right now,
it looks blustery.
Yeah, like we might have some winter wonderland. So hello, Jim. Hello, Tracy. Who else do we have here?
Damien's here. Jim and KJ. They say, hey, beautiful people. Sorry, we got to miss this at work.
Okay. But thank you for thinking of us.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Laura is heading out and coming back in. But hey.
Awesome.
Yes.
So good to have everybody.
Yes, very good. And we have some really good shows that we're brewing for next week. I have an old friend of mine who's a trans guy and was raised Jehovah's Witness, and he is trying to unravel some really crazy things that are going on in the Jehovah's Witness paradigm. I mean, some pedophilia, some really strange stuff. So we're really looking forward to sharing that. I believe that this year, 2019, or the year that's coming up, is going to be the year of exposure. It's going to be the revealing. It's going to be the year that we all connect our DNA together and finally break free from this prison planet. Because, believe it or not, this is what, it is. And I ask you all, are you ready to break free from this prison planet? I know I am. I'm so tired of this, quarantine place they've...
It's a crazy place. This physical realm.
Yeah.
We're meant for so much more. And we have been conditioned to think that this is all there is.
Yeah. Very sad. Very sad, but true. But, I truly believe we're going to do it this time. I was looking into the word Babel, which is the word Bible is from the word Babel. And, back in the day when we were starting to wake up and wanted to leave, created the tower, and what does the word Babel mean? Confused noise, typically that made by a number of voices, the Babel of voices on the road. Babel to the verb balal, which means to confuse or confound in Hebrew.
Just the word babble.
Yeah.
To babble. You guys you're just babbling nonsense, right? That's what people say.
So, how apropos, Babel is a book written to confuse us. I believe that in the Tower of Babel, which was built by the Noah's descendant in Babylon, when they were intended to reach the heaven, God foiled them by confusing their language so they could no longer understand one another. God foiled them. When they say put foil over your head so that you don't get the radiation from so God foiled us. Does that mean God fooled us? The gods confused us so that, could it also have been the God disconnected our DNA so that we wouldn't be able to get out of here? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to look into.
Something there could have happened that was more of an electronic energy frequency that was pulsated
Yes.
From the heavens.
Because we are made of frequency,
Mhm.
electricity. Kid yourself not. That's what we are. Our whole circuit, our nervous system is all electrical. I mean, if you look at the brain and what happens, in the activity in the brain, the dendrites, the somites, all these things that are actually dendrites are communicating chemically and releasing an electrical component that allows all the things in our brain to connect, to speak, to feel, that connects to our spinal cord to allow the movement. We're one big massive
and
AI.
then just think about, just television and the internet and the images that we project of ourselves electronically through what? Through frequency.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. And
it's crazy.
I mean, there's so much that our human mind is still not capable of seeing. But I truly believe that with this revelation that's taking place, with the revealing, with the removal of the veils from our eyes, we are going to be able to figure this out. And
or like the scales from our eyes.
Yeah. And it's happening very quickly. It's a quickening that's taking place. And I believe 2019 is going to be the year. It really is going to be the year. And, I found this collective soul. Yesterday we were talking about souls and spirit, what one meant versus the other. When you hear the word collective soul means a soul that's shared by all human beings.
Yes.
So I believe soul is what connects us all, and the spirit is a very individual spirit that we are. So I just found that pretty interesting. So there's another article that I found, and I just took this, instead of God, the word divinity fits it even more. And there's an article, and I'll probably do that for tomorrow. But, because God could mean many things, to many people. And there could be good gods, bad gods. I mean, look at the mythology. But divinity, the spark of divinity is within you.
Yes.
So the divinity, the divine, and we're the vines of the divine, deity, DI, I mean.
How are we all sounding, you guys? We're using a different microphone. We had the microphone that just wasn't working for us for a while. And just wanted to
check to see
and see how we're sounding. Do you notice it sounding better? Is it clearer? We're just hoping that that's the case.
Yeah, at least we got better reception today. I think yesterday everybody was on Google Hangout, and the reception was.
Everybody was doing a show.
Yeah, that's what it was. Christmas special.
Streaming, actually.
Streaming, probably. But yeah, so how do we sound? Tracy, are you there?
It's okay. We'll just wait.
All right. Anyway, today we're going to talk about Christ consciousness. And that whole word or two words together rings very right inside of me. Christ consciousness. Christ means the anointed. We are the anointed ones, right? Consciousness is part of that soul that we are all part of. So our spirit taps into that soul. And so the article is about why you have the same capacities as Jesus.
Nice.
Okay.
I would want to say that there's still room for definition within the definition of soul, because there's a specific collective soul, but then there's the individual soul within a human being, which is connected to their senses and to their carnal person,
right.
But the collective soul is different.
Okay.
Right.
So where would spirit actually be placed in that?
The spirit isn't connected to the five senses.
Okay.
Right. So the soul is that part of our humanity that's connected to, touch and burn, feeling and seeing and smelling,
right.
But that's just my opinion.
There's so much that we don't know, and so much that we are learning, and we're learning together. And I believe that as we continue to evolve and our DNA continues to become awakened, and we actually learn to see things with our third eye, or the eye that actually sees into the universe, I believe that we will actually get a lot more from it.
And then there's that pituitary as well.
Yes, pituitary gland.
Another part that is awakened as well, is it not?
The pituitary is more of an endocrine type of thing that releases hormones.
I heard something about it being connected to the crown chakra.
Very
Is that-
possible. Yes. Yes. Because, all
that's
our,
what Gerald was saying.
Yeah,
just the other day, Gerald Clark.
Exactly. Anyway, so religion tends to encourage hierarchy and praise. Christians, for example, look up to priests and they pray to Jesus Christ and God. Now, don't get me wrong. Prayer can be a wonderful tool for further connecting with ourselves, and it can provide us with comfort and guidance. However, seeking answers outside the self and from an external God is not necessarily empowering yourself. Now, I'm also going to take the leap of faith here and speak about what I believe that prayer, to me, it sounds too religious. So I like the word meditation or manifestation. Okay. Prayer to me, it's almost like you're pleading and you're like connecting to these lower gods. And that to me can be a little
I think
dangerous.
It's likened to giving yourself away to like being allegiant to a specific, lower deity.
Exactly.
That obviously knows more than we do, but
oh yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, whatever. It's like lots of love to you, and hopefully you can remove the veil from your eyes. Go do your homework. There's so much information out there. And you're just, and you know what? I don't blame you, because old habits die hard. And when you've been programmed from the time that you were a little kid, and that's all you believe, and you don't know any better. But there's a bigger world out there. We are evolving. You're no longer a little kid. You're an adult now. And it's time for you to really stretch your wings out there and find out the real truth. Not the truth that has been dumbed down by pedophilic religious leaders and by corporations that control the world, that have you and me and everyone under this planet enslaved. You have the permission to free yourself. Trust me.
But first of all, you come in here and then you want to say things, but you have to criticize us for having a small crowd watching.
Yeah.
We actually don't care if there's one person watching or if there's a million.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, it's not up to us.
Right.
So for you to come in here and then to say that just tells us where you're at.
Well, of course, lower level, the hierarchy, are people that are into like the roof over their head and the food in their stomach, and that's it.
And again, there's this, you have no business even mentioning the name of Christ. It's like, who does the accusing?
Yeah,
it's those lower deities that
they've got you trained very well.
Yeah, we know where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But no big deal.
So
hey, Phoenix.
Phoenix says, have you read The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2? It would explain this to you. And you sound great.
Thank you. We got a new, it's not a new mic, but it's a mic we've had, and it wasn't working well with the Mac, but now I guess they've done something to make it sound better. So we're excited about that. And hello, Amando, don't feed the troll's ego. That is so true. It's like a lot of times, and this is something that I know I'm working on, it's the automatically defense mechanism that tries to kick in, and I could kick myself in the rear whenever I allow it to happen. But it's just teaching me that I'm still human and I'm still evolving and I'm still growing. But, it's all part of the evolution of the spirit.
And I just wanted to thank you for coming in here and testing us. I mean, we failed a little bit today, but we're getting better.
Yeah. And that's cool, because there's, in reality, there's no wrong and there's no right. And, when people say, well, you say you're so spiritual, but you get angry. Anger is part of our feeling mechanism in our neurological system, where if we, slam our fingers with a hammer, it's going to hurt and we're going to yell and we're going to say, ouch. And so like a hammer hitting your finger, when somebody pokes at you, it is a reflexive reaction that we have. And I'm not sure if it's okay to try to like hamper that, because then we wouldn't be human. We are spirits, but we are having a human experience. And with that human experience and the anger and all this stuff, we might be connecting this DNA stuff that we have had like, disconnected by these beings.
The other day, we were
Hey, Tommy.
watching, yeah, Tommy says, what a pleasure to see your fruit of love. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I was just going to mention that Jeff Doherty was on Coast to Coast AM last
Yes, that
night.
was
We
awesome.
stayed up and watched some of that, listened to it. And, you know, there were people that came on to, and, you know, call in and stuff like that. And they were just so adamant about what they believed.
Of course.
It was like, yeah, you could say what you want, but the Bible says this.
Right.
And it's like, and thinking that Jeff didn't really know that that's what the Bible said.
Right.
It's like they think that he didn't know his Bible,
Right.
you know.
And
but-
Bible is confusion. That's what they created for. In the beginning, they created the Word, and the Word was created to confuse us. And if that wasn't enough, then they had to confuse our language, because originally they confused us with the Word. That didn't work. We still managed somehow, some way to try to reach up and get out of here. And then they confused our language and then mixed our DNA. So yeah, some of these individuals, and you have to feel sorry for them, because it's like individuals that have ground rooted these old belief systems, and they don't know how to let go of them because it's fearful for them to do so.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It is. And it's part of the human species.
So we're at What If I Told You, right?
Yeah.
What if I told you that you have the exact same powers, quote unquote, within you as the character in the Bible that Jesus Christ once did? If you look at his teachings carefully, you'll see that Jesus was in fact a son of God and channeled God through himself. However, many Christians believe Jesus was the only son of God, which isn't true.
That's right, because God has prime creator, source, the great I am, divinity, is the creator of all, and we are part of that creation. And what is the definition of a parent? A mother or father is they bring forth life. Well, divinity brought forth life, and Jesus Christ, along with all the other great avatars, just came here to free us from this prison planet.
And we focus on Jesus Christ because that's the one avatar who has been influencing Western civilization for a while now. But if we were in China, I'm sure we would be talking about, Buddha, or Confucius, or
whoever it is,
or
Allah,
Krishna. We're kind of biased in this representation because that's what people in our country, understand.
But the
right?
Christ means the anointed, and there's been many anointed. In fact, we are anointed too. We're now being awakened to this fact. It's finally the time for that. We're changing from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, to the age of knowledge.
Like, I would love to read The Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2.
There's so much stuff out there.
The Bible
it's just one book.
Is one
book. Why should one book
Yeah.
dominate from billions of years that humanity has existed on this planet? Why should that one book dominate it all?
Shouldn't.
It should not.
It shouldn't.
People should be able to read different things. And Mahagani, whatever that's called, in the Emerald. Yeah. You all know what I mean. You all know what I mean. So anyway, God is simply all that is: consciousness, source, oneness, etc. It's what everything is made up of. It's not a higher power. It is us. We are the universe. We are this collective soul. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. Thus, you too possess the same godlike, quote unquote, capabilities as Jesus and everyone else. They just don't want you to know that, because you know what? It's bad for business.
That's the bottom line.
That's bad for business, because then we'd go, we don't need the church. We don't need you, Pastor Bob. We don't need anybody but each other, because like Phoenix says, well, there's more than one gathered, there is power. Manifestation. When you meditate in a group of people, that is powerful. We are generating that little electrical components that we have inside, that divinity in us. And it's like,
those hydroelectric generators.
What is it that makes that sound? Like there's like these insects, and when they all together,
the cicadas.
And when they all together flap their little wings, it's like, it's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when people go,
It's like the universe and the animal kingdom is actually teaching us.
Yes.
If we'd only stop and look and notice, but we're so busy. So many people are so busy that they miss out on these universal principles that even the animal kingdom know better than we do.
Right. And Phoenix says, study everything. It makes more sense. Obviously, it's like the more you learn, the more you grow and the more you evolve.
Oh, that's interesting, Lindsay. Just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz was told, my dear, you have had it this whole time.
Power of consciousness. And what did Amanda said? God is in everything. God is energy, and the ego is the world. Exactly.
John Mitchell says, did our Father take on human form to redeem angels that realize that they've been done and needs our Father's help from corrupted fallen ones to protect what was created and also eternal life?
I hear words as corrupt, fallen, born with original sin. And to me, my inner self says that is all verbiage used by the Bible that we have incorporated into our language to make us feel shameful and that we are worthless. And that there's a group of deity that would want us to believe that, because as long as
it's good for their
exactly,
system.
Exactly. It's good for business. Not good for business if you start saying, you know what, I ain't going to believe all that. I'm going to believe there's a divinity. I'm going to believe that there's a creator of all. Can I put this creator of all in a box? Can I identify? Do I know what it looks like or what it wants or what it needs? No, because if I did, then I would be trying to put my human traits on this God, and that's what humankind has done.
And then what we don't realize is that these deities that have been, or these higher beings, they actually are nothing like the creator of all. I mean, they have nothing in common with the creator of all.
Exactly.
They are like, okay, it's like in The Wizard of Oz, when they get to Oz and they see the wizard, and out from behind is this little shriveled up man, that you would never imagine would be behind all of this. And then we're probably going to get to a place in the future where we're going to go,
it's like when we were listening to Clark,
for us?
These alchemists, these mad scientists that we call God, that it's who the Bible speaks of, are nothing more than a more advanced species, which we will eventually get there because it's all part of going up to different parallel universes or dimensions. And they're nothing more than mad scientists. And they've learned how to be geneticists and mess with our genes and mess and create. And no different than what we do with animals. I mean, how many different animal species have we created genetically wise?
I would think that their projection, their shadow is bigger than they are.
Right. And yes, Lindsay, we did talk about Babel, or the Bible, in the beginning of the show.
Yes,
which
Babel
and what it all means. And it's just the confusion. The Bible to me was created to confuse us even more. It wasn't there to enhance our knowledge by all means. It was a confusion.
And it's a modern confusion because it's only existed since 8300 something, right?
It's a new kid on the block.
Before that, there were so many. I mean, I guess they said that Thoth had written over 35,000 books, and we only have like a few manuscripts that we've been able to
because they burned it all, and
or buried it all.
They burned it, buried. They didn't want us to know this. That's why it's called the occult, hidden knowledge, because they are the ones that want all this knowledge. They don't want us to know this.
And everything is like done so that it can be done in secret, so that we can be kept from knowing that we are divine beings.
Exactly.
And that we are light. That's what we are. We are divine beings of light that have been like totally like shut down and like contained. It's like we've been like miniaturized to fit inside this 3D realm, and we are so much more than that.
Definitely. Guys, take the time to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. So what is Christ consciousness? Well, it's essentially another term for enlightenment. It is a state of finding that universal truth by completing the ascension process in the same way Jesus Christ once did. While the biblical version of Jesus is likely not true to form, since many of the stories were copied from thousands-year-old stories, it's likely he still existed and was a great teacher for people. Watch the movie Zeitgeist, the first movie, and that will show you that it's almost the same avatar that has taken form way before Jesus ever came to this earth.
According to the teachings of Patanjali, Christ consciousness, or samadhi, is the final step of the 8 limbs of yoga. It can be achieved through the other 7 limbs, including meditation and complete withdrawal from the senses, which is referred to as pratyahara. Now, one thing I was going to ask you was, how intricately our physical body is connected to our spiritual body, and how by modern medicine or modern pharmacy, it's not even medicine, modern poison, that we have been, it's like if they didn't kill our DNA before,
they're
really doing overtime. Because what medication is there out there now that's not like causing suicidal ideation, that's not causing kids to develop ADHD and ASD,
all sorts of disorders, cancer even. Their medication now, the side effect is cancer. And what is cancer? Abnormal cells.
Pharmakeia.
Yeah, exactly. So Phoenix said we get dumbed down and rise back up through DNA memories. Thought did this to us. I have read. We're still kind of trying to learn who the good guy or the bad guy of the play is. And sometimes I wonder that there is no good or bad. It's just people or deities or these species that are taking on different roles. And it's almost like it has to be this way for our true awakening to take place.
So it's like every role, every society needs a Judas in it, So
yeah,
it's not that Judas is innately evil for doing what Judas did, or what, Christians would say, oh, he was a betrayer of God and betrayer of Jesus, and he made Jesus get crucified. And but it's like in their own story, had Judas not done that,
he played a role.
They wouldn't even have a religion.
They played everything plays a role. And it's interesting, when it talks about the withdrawal from the senses, what is our biggest troublemaker? It's our senses. If we went by our spirit, we wouldn't get into trouble. It's our bodily function and our senses that gets us in all sorts of trouble. If you've never meditated before, withdrawing from your senses may seem impossible. And that's why meditation is a good exercise to do, because it teaches you to quiet the mind. It teaches you not to be engaged with, your hearing and your eyes and your touch and your smell. You may be thinking, we live in a 3-dimensional world where we use our senses to function. There's what makes us us. So we believe, but the fact is that these senses are just a projection of an artificial reality that we think exists, because we exist within the artificiality. Right. So if I pinch myself, my body's going to feel it because my senses are telling me because you're wired.
That it hurts.
Right. You're wired. There's if you look at like what do you call it? Like a circuit board. And that circuit board is wired for you to feel all these things. But in reality, what you're seeing with your eyes is not actually what you're seeing. It's just a vibration where you're at, that the atoms colliding together create this matter that we are experiencing. But if you remove that vibration and you remove that filter that is letting you see that sort of thing, then you're not going to see. It's not going to be the same way.
Right.
And we, as humans, we're like, what are you talking about? If I hit this table, I feel it. Well, that is in the realm that you're in right now. And that's what you've been programmed to believe. But there's actually science proving otherwise. Well,
like you see like a crystal, and then light hits it and it refracts off of it in different directions. It doesn't swallow itself into the crystal. It bounces off.
In quantum physics, depending on what you are visualizing would depend on what takes place, you know, which is very bizarre for a lot of people. Lindsay says the Vatican has underground vaults with hold of ancient secrets. Yes, because they know the truth. They know everything, but they will not tell you.
That's why they pummel societies and civilizations in order to get this truth so that they could hoard it all and hide it all.
Yes.
You know?
Hey, EK, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And what else?
Phoenix, I am. The Church of Vipers is done with their control.
Yes.
Lindsay said pharmakeia.
Yeah. And then she said, hell, I'm 33 years old and I have chronic fatigue. Medication and substance have really taken their toll. And they do. They do, because we are natural beings. Our body's not meant to take in synthetics. Everything in our environment, including the food that you're putting in your body, is very synthetically filled. It's like, try to take a glass of water and pour it on your keyboard and see what happens.
Short circuits.
Right.
Would be
So,
done.
you know, human body is pretty resourceful, you know, and it could take a beating, but you keep beating it year after year, year after year, and it's going to break down. It's going to break down eventually. And it's from, you know, all the chemicals, whether it's chemicals we ingest, whether it's stress that releases our own chemical, you know, the cortisone that's released by the adrenal glands. I mean, we are under assault.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Meditation, Phoenix says, is how you find God.
Yes.
When you find the self, you find God.
Because God himself is the same. Yeah.
Starvation and other things not to be spoke of here.
Exactly. And that's why fasting is a good thing, because again, once you stop your digestive system from working and you just tune in to meditate and remove all the externals, you get to finally listen to that little voice inside of you, that higher self, which is God, because God and you are the same. Religion wanted to put that middleman and divide us, you know, and make us feel like we're evil if we try to really investigate or dig in further. And they create fear into people. But people are waking up. I truly believe that 2019 is going to be one heck of a year. There's going to be so much awakening going on.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a great thing, you know?
The Pope and men call it the Rauch, and they sell their souls through this practice. Look into it.
Wow. You're really full of a lot of information. We would love to interview you, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Just
totally.
if you email us at transitionradioshow@gmail.com so I could give you instructions and send you an attachment. And we love.
Looks like we're also going to get that near-death experience show going.
Yes.
Next week sometime.
Okay.
So if any of you have near-death experiences that you'd like to share and document, you know, here on this show, and just be able to just have
to share, yeah, because we could have once a week
different-
near-death experience showing with a guest being interviewed.
So Lindsay says, my resolution for 2019 is to be more mindful and to take better care of my physical and mental health.
And that's very important. And what is the focus in the world is to not allow you to take care of yourself, have you working a job 40 hours a week, which is, it's crazy. That's slavehood. Then, you know, if you have kids and you have things that you have to do, it doesn't allow a person to have any time to really spiritually grow or to really focus on health, because everything is about creating an imbalance. And what is disease? Disease is disbalance, you know? So I believe that 2019 is going to be the year where people are going to finally say, enough is enough. It's time to grow and evolve and be the best you that you can be. All right. So.
Well, Descartes once said, I think, therefore I am. But I promise, if you silence your mind, you still exist. We know that our thoughts don't make us who we are. So couldn't the same be said for our senses? If you're blind or deaf, are you still you? The senses don't make you. You, because it's what lies within that truly defines us.
And that is very true. You know, there are people that are deaf and they're blind, and they still are them. You know, and they're not skewed by the world
a lot of times I think they're even more in tune.
Oh, they are extremely in tune. They have a sense of them that it's incredible, you know. And I remember when I was going through occupational therapy school, they made us do all sorts of projects. You know, they had us go to a mall and request a wheelchair and look at the world from a person in a wheelchair. They also had us blindfolded and look at the world as a blind person and things of that nature. And you learn so much. You learn to rely on your inner guidance versus the senses. The senses are very misleading, extremely misleading. And 2 days of your government beating me until I said my SSI number followed by sir and taking bone marrow was enough for me. I think they don't want me to talk. Wow. Interesting. Well, you don't have to show your face, and you could be anonymous, and you could just, you know, get on Google without the camera and just be your voice, which I think is, you know, you have a lot to say, and we really are interested, and I'm sure the viewers
or even
are
a
too.
phone call, you know.
Well, it's the same. It'll be better quality if it comes out too on YouTube. So is it my turn?
Simply put, the true essence of your being cannot be seen, touched, heard, tasted, or smelled, because they are all third dimensional qualities. Your soul, you are a soul that incarnated into your body to have a human experience. Jesus Christ realized this and tried to share it with the masses.
You know, and I don't understand why people can't see that. They've tried to like make Jesus this God, and you know, he came to free us, and yet the Roman Catholic used him to enslave us even further. You know, once you remove that veil, it's just so.
But you got to understand who's behind the Roman Catholics, and that's like another show.
Oh, yeah.
But it's probably Enlil who decided to set up his throne of government on this planet through the Roman Empire. And we're just feeling the effects of that empire building control.
Exactly.
Let's control the government. Let's control religion.
Exactly.
You know, let's control everything about these people.
And John, crazy how our Father forgives. John, I love it, and I'm being sarcastic, when people think they could speak for a deity that they have no clue who that deity actually is. But humans love to speak for God. That is blasphemy, I truly believe.
Yeah, but John is, I don't know if John's talking about.
Yeah, John was the one
father,
in the beginning that
the father
was very.
Being, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was John.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, right here.
No, that wasn't anything.
I thought that.
No, that wasn't rude.
No, he said something in the beginning that was very religious from the beginning of the show.
No, that was Sander.
Oh, that was Sander?
Yeah, that wasn't.
Oh, okay. So sorry.
John.
Okay, I thought it was John.
No,
but
if you're talking about the Father of all,
right,
the Creator of all, if that's who you're invoking in this, then yeah, I mean, I can see where. But what does he need to forgive?
Yeah,
I don't.
It's like saying we were born with original sin. There's no original sin. Even Christ said it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why we have to be allegiant to anything other than our own sovereignty, you know, because we are responsible divine beings that have been smashed and like we've been like fooled into thinking that we don't possess what we already have.
Of course,
you know,
of course, but that mentality about seeking forgiveness and Father forgive, you know, it's like Father forgive them, man. You know, it's like, if we're not the ones that need forgiveness, the ones that have tampered with prime creators, the divine creation, are the ones that need total forgiveness because they have messed with the divine plan.
But then again, we're talking about role-playing characters and entities that play a role maybe in waking us all up. Like there has to be a villain in the group.
Yeah, that's true. Everything happens for a reason. So, but anyway, however, the third dimensional reality has numerous distractions that encourage us to look anywhere but within for our answers. And that right there, everybody's always searching for the Father, for this, for that, but the answers lie within us, which is exactly what many people did when they discover Jesus's power, the same way that many people still do with religion. People started to praise him, and still do, considering him somewhat of a deity and referring to him as the Son of God.
And John says it's no brainer that we can't judge because he forgave us, and our hearts belong to him. So those that came to him. And, I would say that I don't want to give my heart away to any deity, any being, any higher power, because I have the sovereign right as a divine being of the highest order to order my own affairs, to be responsible for my own life. Because if I pledge allegiance to some Father, some God, some Savior, some Son of God, we're just going to get sucked right up into the astral plane. Like I was saying, we're going to die thinking that this is what exists, is this allegiance, and we're just going to get sucked right back in here. Like we have.
Prison Planet.
Several times.
Yeah, Prison Planet. And, there is a higher power, which I truly believe that we humans have no clue what it is. For all we know, it's some sort of like electrical ball of whatever it is. And that through that, creation took place. And then you've got different, as time progresses, different leaders, different deities that have become wanting to become gods. And those are the ones talked about and written in the Bible.
But power doesn't mean power over a person.
Exactly.
Power over another sovereign being.
Exactly.
What it means is the source, the originating energy source that came and created everything that we see, including us.
I mean, if we look at...
we're not subject to it.
Exactly. If we look at the world, the way the world has been going and the way it continues to go, what has it gotten us to be this little subservient, little, know-nothing, wicked-hearted person, just bowing down to some God that we have never seen or heard or whatever. We just have written records of what this, that, and the other. Has it gotten us anywhere? I think we are still having wars with one another. We lack the compassion and ability to connect as a species, to get rid of all the stuff that we don't like, that we see going on around our world.
It's Angel Camp.
Hey,
you guys. Thanks for watching. Golden Dawn.
Yes. So
did we meet you? Are you another name? But yeah, it's such a beautiful place. And I wrote something on the Discord regarding them and stuff, and it was just such a beautiful experience, just to be so welcome, so loved.
And that's what it's all about. See, what people in Angel Camp and what those of us that are waking up, we want to create heaven on earth. We want to be able to take responsibility and change this mess that we are living in. And by doing the same of the old over and over again, we're never going to reach where we need to reach. And we're never going to do what the Christ consciousness within us intends us to do if we continue to give our power away and just worship deities. And that doesn't solve anything.
That's the worst thing that we can do, because
Michelle,
once you do that, then now it's like, okay, so now you're being connected to that source that is sucking your energy out of you. Your eternal energy is being sucked into some other entity, some other deity and stuff. And, we don't have to do that anymore.
No, we don't. The time for the awakening is now. The time to escape this prison planet is now. And Phoenix I Am says, because the Elohim shot the Son of God to give that Adam life, we all have a piece of God in us. Yes, we do.
Tracy joins us too.
Hey, Tracy. Yeah, we have a divinity in us, and that's that's so important to understand.
This isn't wrong. Jesus is God because we are all God. Yes, you were created by God, the creator of all, or prime creator, as you call him.
Right.
But for that same reason, you are God. You don't need to look upward to pray, but rather inward. Jesus discovered this by connecting with the divine, the same way that we all can too.
And that's what I mentioned earlier, that I found that, God, that's a very risky word there, but divine, that's where it's at. Prime creator, divine, it has no agenda, unlike the little G's. They all are full of agenda. Big G doesn't have an agenda. Numerous spiritual teachers today, like Eckhart Tolle, I love Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, another good teacher, and so on, encourage us to recognize the truth about religions. It's like one God, and we've got all these religions, and the majority of them are cults, dear God, the things that we're finding out.
Funneling
other things and other things. They're not as different as they seem, as they all encourage us to look inward and find the universal truth of inherent divinity.
Lori says, Michelle says, love you all. And Lori says, hello, beautiful sister Lena and brother Mark. I love you beyond words.
We love you. We love you.
Yes. As Eckhart Tolle wrote, all religions are equally false and equally true, depending on how you use them. You can use them in the service of the ego, or you can use them in the service of the truth. If you believe only your religion is the truth, you're using it in the service of the ego. Used in such a way, religion becomes ideology and creates an illusory sense of superiority, as well as division and conflict between people.
In the service of the truth, religion's teachings represent signposts of maps left behind by awakened humans to assist you in spiritual awakening. That is to say, in coming free of identification with form. Keywords is becoming free of identification with form. Religion is all based on ego. We really have to look at that. The Christ Blueprint, 13 Keys to Christ Consciousness.
Oh, we have Connected Lotus, aka
Hey,
Lynn.
hello. Thank you for joining us.
Didn't she
Yes,
say she was-
yes. Thank you
for coming.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
So religions clearly prove that most of the global population want to believe there's something more than what we see in this third dimension.
Religion can provide people with hope that there's divinity outside this realm, and that's beautiful. However, real divinity also lies within us. It's when we start to let go of rigidity and disempowerment within religion that creates a division and superiority that often feed our egos, and instead recognize the basic teachings in all religions that can assist us in connecting. And there's such a beautiful reality of connection with the divine in Buddhism.
Oh gosh,
I mean, what they're able to achieve in their ability to disconnect from this three-dimensional world and go within and to hear their breath and to listen to their heartbeat and to really be present in their physicality, but spiritual. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. So we'll get into some interesting notes about the Bible below, but first let's jump into some quotes. This can be seen throughout Christianity, as numerous devoted Christians don't understand much of what the Bible says. For example, let's look at the following quotes by Jesus. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
The me Jesus referred to isn't himself, but rather the self within you.
Yes.
You don't find God through Jesus. You find God within yourself. This is precisely what Jesus did and what you can do too. And this theme can be found all throughout the Bible.
Clues that are given, instead of like wanting to worship, Jesus came to free you, as did Buddha, as did all the great avatars, trying to get you to get out of this prison planet, this nightmare that we're stuck in, and they're like trying to wake you up.
Oh, wow. Look at Marty's on.
Hey, Marty.
Hey, Marty. Buddha nature equals Christ consciousness and vice versa.
Exactly. Welcome, Marty.
Yes.
And Mr. Bodango says he told you the truth. He showed you the way you have to live the life. Exactly. But instead,
Love you too.
and instead we made it in religion, and we're just like looking at this blood sacrifice and guilt ridden. And it's like, they've worked it so perfectly. They really have.
Mark, your hair looks great.
My hair looks great. Yeah, I don't have any hair.
Laura says your hair looks great.
I think it's your hair.
It's your beard.
No, it's your hair.
Looks wonderful.
Anyway, John 10:30 reads, I and the Father, thank you, Lori. I and the Father are one. Ephesians 4:6 reads, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all in all. You are one with source and one with all of your surroundings.
In Matthew 16:24, Jesus says, if anyone wants to become my followers, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. When Jesus told the people to deny themselves, quote unquote, he was referring to the illusion of the self or the ego.
Exactly.
You are not your physical body, but rather the soul within. By denying it, you can access the real self, the Christ consciousness.
And that's key right there. By denying yourself, by denying the things in the world that is meant to keep you enslaved here, then and only then will you learn the true self, that spirit self that you are, that Christ anointed consciousness that you have, that will free you and allow you to be just like Christ.
If anyone wants to call anything good news, it's not that doom and gloom message that says that everybody's a sinner and they're condemned to go to hell, but that Jesus Christ came with the sacrifice and the offering to rescue mankind.
Right.
It's this beautiful message.
Exactly.
This is good news.
The other is imprisonment. This is freedom.
St. Paul's understanding of the image of the cross in Galatians 2:20 reads, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. St. Paul probably grasped Jesus Christ consciousness, understanding that once enlightenment occurs, there is no divisive sense of self, but rather an intense connection to all beings and the divine.
The cross is merely a symbol of the human experience, one that is used in many religions, of the figurative death we endure when we abandon the ego, which is being born again, which is taken all differently in the Christian religion, which then resurrects us and awakens us to our true self, the divine within. Doesn't that make more sense?
It does to me.
You know, I mean, really, the cross is merely a symbol of the human experience, one that is used in many religions. Okay. Of that figurative death we endure when we abandon the ego, when you kill the ego. That's why when you take ayahuasca, it's such a violent, you throw up, you have diarrhea, you're like going through, you're struggling with all the things, but finally that ego death, and you feel like you're dying, and you're like, I've never done one, but I've watched a lot of videos and I would like to do one, which then resurrects us and awakens us to our true self, the divine within. I mean, that is powerful stuff there, people.
It's important to note that it's been speculated that a lot of information was deliberately omitted from the Bible or influenced by higher-ups in the church. It's difficult to verify whether or not some of the quotes in the Bible were even from Jesus himself, or if they were strategically added or edited by leaders at the time, specifically the Council of Nicaea, to disempower their followers. And, another one would be the King James Bible. I was just talking to somebody on Discord and said, I'm led to think that I don't think there's anything that I can trust out of the King James Bible, because it was translated and made to be whatever King James wanted it to be.
Exactly. Let's see. Let's catch up with Laura says we must become less. He must become more, he says.
And Mr. Bone Dangle says, and this is so temporary.
Oh, it is. It is.
The false sense of self, ignorance, the false sense of self, the root of our suffering, not seeing our interconnectedness with each other.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Marty.
It's like, I love the movie Avatar because one of my favorite line is, I see you. How many people, you could walk in a busy street, people don't connect. But how can they when they don't even know who they are inside? People worry about the brand names they're going to wear. People worry about the kind of makeup they're going to use. It's like everything to build up the false self. What about the true self? What about eliminating that ego and bringing in the divine?
It's
you know, a lot of things change.
Damien says, sorry I'm late. Much love, family.
Hey, Damien, thank you for joining us. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Better late than never, bro.
Laura says, I've never heard Satan created the heavens and the earth. I never heard the devil created the heavens and the earth. I heard God created the heavens and the earth, the Most High God.
There's, in the Bible, and I truly believe that the God of the Bible is not prime creator. You know, you read different parts in the Bible and the Elohims, and let us do this, and let us confuse their language, and let us this. It is, in my opinion, for us to believe that we know anything by reading books that were written by mankind. Okay, just a set of books, because there's so many books. And for us to say we know what God wants, we know what God did, we don't know anything until you know yourself, until you actually go inward, until you actually let go of the ego. Because a lot of the talk and the fights within religion, that is all ego-based. You know, how can you know there's any truth in those words?
Well, you know, I was thinking about what it does say in Genesis 1:1. And it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then verse 2 says, and the earth was formless and void. Now, that sounds like the earth was pretty chaotic. It was pretty like there wasn't any love in that.
No.
It seems like this God that created matter or made matter into an earth, that he wasn't really looking to be a blessing.
No.
Right?
And what did Satan do when Jesus was fasting on the mount for 40 days? Did he not offer Jesus the world?
He did.
So, Laura.
And that's what that's what Derek talks about, is like,
and Jeff,
he was the God of this world,
yeah,
because the God that created this world, because he was the one who could offer all the kingdoms of this world to Jesus in that.
And so what if Satan created as a facsimile of what the true creator did, because he wanted to be his own little God? And where we're living now is that Satan's creation.
His own created,
and we're stuck
3D
here.
world.
Exactly, where we need to go where Father is, the true prime creator, true divinity, not the creator of this planet, which is Satan, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. And Marty says, so true.
Yes.
So please, God is on top of it. So please, God is on top of it. I'm not sure what that means. This is about getting off the wheel. Yes, it's about getting out of here.
Out of here, exactly.
We are not from here.
No.
You know, even
we got sucked in here somehow.
Even the pyramids point to the Orion constellation. That's not this planet, folks. This is prison planet. This is like a holding zone, a testing zone, a quarantine area.
And Damien says, Michelle, hey, okay.
Therefore, God created the devil. And I guess they know what they're doing. Jesus said, I did not come to bring peace. I came with the sword. But he also said he came to save the world.
He came to save us from this world, from this prison planet, from the constraint of the God of the Bible, which is, in my opinion, Satan, you know?
Boom. Yes, Tracy says. Hey, Tracy. And Laura says, lighten up, angels. We're all good.
Yes.
We're all good.
Yes.
By letting it all go. Can't do that, can you?
Right. Michelle said yes.
Translations are screwy.
Pretty much.
In the beginning, the Elohim, and that's plural.
Yep. So my belief is that aliens created us. The Anunnaki, created us. And there's so many, like, what is it? Enki, Enlil, this, that, and the other, all these names. And
it gets
very confusing.
But I think it's like, it's set up that way to confuse.
Oh, that's why Babel.
Enki is like a title, not a being.
Right. It's like captain, saying like captain. So much to learn, folks. After all, if people realize that Jesus was simply preaching unconditional love and encouraging others to access the divine powers we hold within, how could the church continue to rule the people?
Many people believe that much of the language within the Bible that refers to the nature of Jesus' relationship to God was actually created by Constantine, who took power over the Roman Empire in AD 306 and the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea essentially decided to call Jesus the, like, singular Son of God, as opposed to simply a Son of God. It was that council that decided to create this divide, not Jesus himself.
Exactly. And yes, Michelle, you know, we're so learning, and we're learning together. And that's part of the awesomest thing, because as our DNA connects, as our consciousness rises up, the veil gets removed even more.
Yes.
And the more we will remember, because it's not that we need to learn anything. In fact, we all know everything we need to know. We just have to remember we've had some sort of amnesia.
And I think that's the way that happens is like what Tracy was talking about yesterday when she said that our DNA is being reconnected. So remembering is the process of that DNA being connected back.
Yes.
To operate like it's supposed to.
Yes. And we're getting an upgrade.
Truth is written on the heart.
Totally. Exactly.
And Laura says, you two are speaking such truths as I know it to be, certainly. Yes, says Bone Dangles. And, not out of here, off the wheel. Okay. Marty says, in Buddhism, we say we are stuck in the cycle of samsara.
Yes. Yes. You feed on this land when this is done, but it's the free will, follow what you want.
Yeah. Well, I would like to think that as a divine being, which I don't look like now because I'm in this physical body, but as a divine being, I have the sovereign right to go and leave this planet and go create my own worlds, my own universes, my own galaxies, however and whenever I want.
Bingo. And that's what we were intended to do, but we got sucked in other overlords' reality, because they wanted to, their reality was to create a bunch of people to worship them. So they took our divinity away, or they kind of like stripped it with messing with our DNA. And so they made us slaves. You know, and we are enslaved in this prison planet, but the time to break free is coming near. And let's see, Jesus will stand here when this is done.
And that's okay. You could stand here with Jesus if you want to, but I'm gone.
Yeah.
Laura says, Lamentations 3:38, out of the mouth of the Most High proceedeth not evil and good.
Okay.
Evil and good.
Yeah.
If you read the whole chapter, 3, the context is understood. So yeah, this deity is capable of both evil and both good. I mean, it's like Enki can do good things and Enki could do evil things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all part of the role that they're playing.
Right. Fire could keep you warm, or fire could burn you. You know, there's that possibility. And
this world is based on worship of materialism.
Exactly. And we need to steer very far away from all that. And Damien said, absolutely, Lena.
Yay. And Mr. Bodangle said, the oldest known writings to man, the Sumerian tablets.
Yes.
This is a fight for your soul.
Yeah. It is. It's like the movie Star Wars, you know, but the war is for our souls, you know. All right, so
Laura says, I think they may be on the same team. I don't know. Enki and Lil, yeah.
It's still so.
Yeah, we're still learning.
Yeah.
You know. Yes, debate, learn with love. Yum.
Yes. And Phoenix says, Native Americans is old, the girl that fell from the sky.
Mr. Bone Dangles says he was worried they would build a religion around him. And Paul did just that.
Yep. Exactly.
Because
he didn't want that. He didn't want to be. He wanted to free us. He was against religion. Yet what did they do? They made him to a religion. They used them to create this whole guilt-ridden religion. Oh, he died for your sins. You were born a sinner. It's like, wait a minute. You mean that before I even came to this world, I came losing? I came with an 8-ball. I came messed up. And it's like, really?
I mean, it's almost like, Paul doing what he did. It's like he took the shine off of Jesus and what his message was, and like placed it on himself. It's like you might as well just call the New Testament of Paul, because he's like, seems like to be the savior of the world, according to the New Testament, because everybody follows what he has to say. Christians follow what he has to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. How can the Christ consciousness occur in the masses? When you take a look at some of the overarching systems that influence society, like religion and government, which are basically married together, it's clear we wish to be led. There's nothing necessarily wrong with this, as a good leader or mentor can help us accomplish great things. But when it comes to spirituality, I think that many of us use leaders to distract us from our true spiritual nature. It makes us lazy.
Yeah. Yes, it does, because we don't want to do the work. This obviously plays a huge role in the Christian faith, as practitioners look to an illusionary God figured for the answers instead of within. However, this can be seen throughout all religions and even with the New Age spirituality, because there's a lot of traps in that too. Many people look up to the monks and enlightened beings, seeking answers through them rather than through the self.
Within the New Age community, which I think should be called the Old Age community, because they have
a lot of older
knowledge and wisdom. Many people who feel that they are on the path toward enlightenment may use spirituality to create division between themselves and those that they feel are less spiritual than they are. And this happens a lot.
Well, it's all based on ego. What are the biggest fights around? Politics and religious belief. But you want to see people go at it?
They're like the same thing when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's clear that the true enemy here is division, that which we are not. Division plays such a prominent role in society, whether that be as a result of politics, the media, religion, the ego, or whatever else. If we want to reach Christ consciousness, we need to see through the illusion of separatism.
And that's what it is. It's just an illusion. It's not even real.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
not at all.
It's not who we were meant to be.
And Laura says, boom. And Marty says, love that.
Yes, Lena, we manifest.
Exactly. And
Truth. And leaving is bad. Study more, please. Okay. Okay. Feel better, Lindsay. Laura, I got to run. Check out Lamentations 3 later. It's cool. Love you both.
We love you. Take care, Laura.
Too. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Someone's got to refine us.
All right.
Wonderful work. You two have to go. Hugs and love. Thank you,
Take
Marty.
care. Take care. Thank you for joining us.
Me too. I'm still learning.
Yeah, we all are.
And nobody has the answers.
We'd be out of here if we did, wouldn't we? I mean, we're still here. So obviously, if we're still here, we're still learning,
Another way to help trigger the ascension process is through information disclosure and knowledge. It is said that our DNA is like a library full of information waiting to be unlocked, which can be obtained through meditation or through the physical realm.
Being fully conscious of your surroundings and yourself will raise your vibration, and through the law of attraction, allow you to come into knowledge when you really are ready for it. Many of us may have different definitions of enlightenment and Christ consciousness, and that's perfectly fine.
Using earthly words to describe something so divine is a tall order anyway.
That's what I was saying earlier, yeah.
Not everyone will attain Christ consciousness during this lifetime either, and that's okay too. We all incarnate here for different purposes. There's no one path toward enlightenment. So there's no point in worrying whether or not you'll experience enlightenment during this lifetime. However, odds are that if you're reading this article, you're already on your way. And that's one of the things when I called my sister just the other day, I felt like, I was talking about what Derek was teaching and what we had been learning, and I felt like, oh, she just thinks I'm crazy. Because this stuff, unless people are awakened to it, unless people have been opened to the truth of it, then they're they're just not going to understand it.
It's true.
You know?
And Phoenix says, is that a spoon? No, none of it's real. Yeah, like the movie The Matrix, where Neo bends a spoon, but it's because the spoon doesn't really exist. Let it go. That's how you get off the wheel. Be good. Help out. The one will get this done. Let it go. Go with it. And I understand what you're saying completely, Phoenix. I just whacked my chin. Shin.
Because it's
Yeah, that other one down below.
Cuba.
It's in the end of the equation, what's going to happen is going to happen. You know, we as humans are taught to obsess, are taught to war amongst each other, but that is all coming from the ego. And as we start evolving and growing and learning, like you said, you know, get off the wheel, things will automatically fall into place. We will know exactly what it is that we need to do because we will remember, you know, all these things that we do, connect with one another, try to learn, try to grow. It's just, you know, things that we do to try to like understand things and understand ourselves and our surrounding. I think as a species, we're coming a long way.
I think that, you know, true understanding happens when we get ourselves in the moments that are eternal. You know, like that moment we had last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Those are moments that words cannot even describe.
Exactly.
You can't do justice to the amount of healing and the DNA connection that happens in those circumstances. You know, we could read all the books of whatever, you know, and in one moment we could get like this reconnection to the truth.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, it's like going to school.
Really,
you know, I went to school as an occupational therapist, 6 years of college, and you learn all this stuff and all these theories and you read and you memorize. But when you go out there and doing your clinicals, you know, your residency, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
You're like, where's my books? It's like, no books. This is hands-on, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I would read books about video production techniques and lighting and how to run a camera until you get out there.
And you learn and you're hands-on.
That's
when you really are going to really, you know, learn. And Damien says, absolutely, in spirit healing.
And Becky Gell says, new to your channel, love the topics. Thank you for sharing your points of view.
Thank you for joining us, Becky.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. And we hope you come back and subscribe.
Yes, and hit the like button.
All that good stuff.
So our trans corner today.
Trans corner.
Yes, I'm coming out. It's a song. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Okay, in support of women.
Diana Ross.
Yes, Diana Ross. Sex in terms of sexual orientation matters. It is time for men to speak up about homophobic, anti-woman trans activism. It's written by Skylar Baker Jordan. I resisted writing this a long time. They say, hell, I pitched this article to Megan Murphy over a month ago, and I've started and stopped writing half a dozen times because I couldn't figure out how to say what I want to say without hurting a lot of feelings.
The truth is, though, that I simply cannot say what I want to say without hurting feelings. And in the end, that's okay, because while it shouldn't be controversial in leftist and certainly feminist circles, what I'm about to say is indeed controversial. And women are brave enough to say this every day. So me, with my male privilege, ought to well man up.
Gender is a social construct. Its purpose under patriarchy is to oppress women in order to control their reproductive capacity and to reinforce men's position as the dominant sex class. Gender is, to be blunt, BS.
The first trans woman I met was a 68-year-old named Leanne. Leanne was married to a woman, had fathered several kids, and even had grandkids, and was a decorated veteran of the U.S. military. At a time when women were denied most roles in the armed forces, Leanne transitioned late in life, wore simple skirts and blouses befitting a woman of my age, and identified as a woman.
I know Leanne, actually. That's the one who got strokes and I was speaking to on the phone. So I know this person.
Wow.
Yeah. It was 2004. I know so many trans people. It's not even funny. It was 2004. I was 18, and I thought Leanne was fabulous. I also thought Leanne was male. Crucially, so did Leanne. 10 years ago, none of this was controversial in ostensibly feminist or LGBT circles. It was accepted that physiological sex and social construct gender were not the same thing. But over the past 10 years, the doctrine of gender identity has gained traction.
Billy Bob says, hello, you guys.
Hello, Billy Bob. And what else did Phoenix say? Just love the unknowable God and let the rest go. Blind faith people. Moses stole the documentation. How much did he have to write the word with? Moses stole the Pharaoh's daughters and ran with her.
He
Killed her. I didn't know that. And Michelle said,
she's getting done buffering Gremlins, so she'll rewatch.
okay. Sorry about the Gremlins.
Yeah, sorry. In some ways, I sympathize with trans activists who embrace a born this way belief with regard to gender identity. It makes sense to me that they would feel so. After all, gender is such a pernicious part of our world that it often goes unnoticed by anyone who doesn't have a solid grounding in feminist theory or sociology.
We take it for granted that women like pink, which wasn't associated with women until the 20th century, or that men don't wear high heels, which they used to in the West. Look at the portraits of Charles II. We assume these things are innate, and in a world that polices gender as rigidly as ours, it's easy to see why.
That's why for a long time, I was able to square this circle. Of course, a male can be a woman, I said, because woman is a social construct. This made sense to me. Trans women are sometimes read as women and typically present as women. Just because they didn't technically have female bodies, I reasoned, didn't mean they weren't subjected to the same misogyny and sexism women face every day, regardless of any biological or physiological differences. I applied the same logic to trans women as I applied to, say, women who have had hysterectomies.
Of course, this is a pedestrian argument. It ignores the years of socialization we all receive. Trans women are still socialized as male, and trans men are socialized as women, no matter how they may choose to identify later in life. My initial analysis didn't grapple with those facts. That's a recent revelation, and it's a narrative really ended as trans women are women and trans men are men. I wouldn't be writing this piece.
Emily says, hello, beautiful soul.
Hello, Emily. And Billy Bob says, that's not my real name. Okay. If you want to share your real name with us, we'll be more than happy to call you.
Phoenix I Am says, as babies, we all wore yellow. White men changed it to fit their agenda. Not all white men, you know who I speak of.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, up until recently, you know, and I mean, in 20th century, pink was the dominant color, and that was represented for more like masculine, you know, and blue was a more, you know, feminine color.
Yes, definitely.
You know,
hello, Billy Bob. Yeah, we said hello to you earlier, and you said that wasn't your name. So I said, if you want to be called by something else, please let us know. We will respectfully call you by the name that you wish for us to call you.
Something has happened over the past few years that has drastically changed my perspective. Lately, some trans activists, such as Avery Edison, comedian and trans-identified male, have been trying to convince us that gender identity trumps sex. Genitals aren't very important in sexual relationships, Edison tweeted last month. If you're currently in love with someone, ask yourself, would I stop loving them if they suddenly had different genitals? I hope the answer is no. If it isn't, your love is apparently extremely conditional.
Leaving aside the fact that all sexual and romantic love is extremely conditional, after all, we don't just fall in love with anyone we meet when it comes to sexual attraction. Emphasis on sex. Sex in terms of sexual orientation doesn't just refer to doing the dirty. It means sex as a reproductive category.
I am a gay man, which means I am attracted to other men, meaning adult, human, males. This precludes women and females who identify as men. And you know what? That is okay. I fought since I was 15 years old when I first came out to live this truth. My existence as a gay man matters. Lesbian existence matters. And this notion that we can overcome genital preferences is homophobic and erases our identities as homosexual people.
It doesn't just echo the far-right conversion therapy so many of us have fought decades to end. It actively embraces these beliefs as it implies we could become heterosexual if we just open our minds and overcome our preferences for members of the same sex.
The only way the argument that sex doesn't matter makes any sense is if you think you can change sex, but that gender identity is something intangible and entirely in one's head is an immutable trait. But sex cannot be changed. It is a physical reality. Humans are sexually dimorphic species, and there is no getting around that.
And that is so true. I mean, Edison is far from the first person to put forth this argument, the cotton ceiling, a term full of rapey connotations coined by Drew DeVos, a Canadian pornographic performer and transgender activist, offers up a similar analysis. The cotton ceiling, to allude to women's underwear, refers to the idea that lesbians, quote unquote, or that lesbians' attraction exclusively to females is something to be overcome, and that because lesbians are not attracted to males, somehow their sexuality is oppressive as it excludes trans women and trans men respectfully. I mean, it's like they're trying to just change everything.
Since then, the notion that this is a form of exclusion is bigoted or even hateful has been accepted within the trans activist movement, though it has been and continues to be subjected to critique and opposition by lesbian and feminists in particular, from Kathy Brennan to Megan Murphy to Claire Hukin to Julie Bendel to Magdalene Burns. Women have been speaking out about the consequences of gender identity, quote unquote, on women, their hard-won rights, and discourse more broadly for years, often at great detriment to their own well-being and careers. Men, on the other hand, have largely been silent.
But there's a good reason to speak out, despite the consequences. If you pretend to support feminism, you ought to care about women. Gender identity legislation is being pushed through very quickly around the globe without much, if any, debate or consideration of the consequences. Lesbians are being bullied and pushed out of the Dyke March. Women in shelters are being forced to room with male-bodied people. And we know a lot of people that that's happened to, until they are in violation of the law when they protest.
Rape crisis centers are being pressured to let males have access to their facilities and services. And we spoke to a woman recently who was in a shelter.
And got kicked out because of a trans woman.
It's perfectly understandable that a woman wouldn't want someone with a penis, regardless if they said they were a woman or not, sharing a bed next to her after she's been raped.
You know, you look at religion and you look at the transsexual agenda. It's pretty much the same thing. Transgender agenda is forcing people to believe in an ideology that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Same thing with religion. Same thing. So this should not be a controversial statement. A decade ago, it wasn't, but not even in the transgender community. Yet, somehow, defending women's spaces and rights is now said to be dehumanized. Trans women or even constitute violence against them. You know, I mean, come on. You know, no feminist believes that trans women should be attacked or injured. No feminist believes they should be sacked for being trans or be refused housing or health care.
What feminists believe is that women, adult human females, have a right to sex-segregated spaces as sanctuaries against male violence, and that women should have particular rights as a result of having been born female under patriarchy. What feminists believe is that gender is an oppressive social construct used to subjugate the female sex class. None of this should be controversial, but it is.
Which is why it's time men, especially men who support a radical feminist analysis of gender, speak up. I've been afraid to express my views for years now, afraid of upsetting friends, of pissing off powerful media types who follow and commission me, afraid of the inevitable backlash I know is coming my way. But cowardice is no excuse. Women have been doing this for years, being no platform and losing their livelihoods because they dare speak up for themselves. But they can't be left to do this alone any longer.
Boys, it's time we get some skin in this game too. Skylar Baker Jordan is a freelance writer, and he lives on the coast of North Carolina.
Yep. So, I mean, it's really important, you know.
We have Billy Bob wanting to know about the fact, some scripture that he
Revelation 19:13, which reads,
he is clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and the name by which he is called is the Word of God. So he goes, answer me. He was not being very nice.
Right.
He goes, answer me. Yes or no. And it's like, actually, Billy, right now, what you're doing is distracting us from our article. Because, you know, that has nothing to do with
the blood of whoever
we're talking about.
Why is the Bible?
We're looking at you. I don't know.
The Bible is so focused on blood. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of blood. I mean, what is the writer wore a robe that was covered with blood, and he was known as the Word of God. What does that, I mean?
I don't know. I don't know. We read it, Billy. I don't know what else there is to say about it. It's kind of gross, actually, wearing a robe dipped in blood. You know.
It's very, you know,
it's like very, eat my flesh, drink my blood.
Very Anunnaki, very reptilian, very submissive to these lords that are of the Bible that really don't like us much because
it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just, I don't really want to get into all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. So Becky says, I left organized religion, Catholicism, after the church ridiculed my great-grandson for being authentic self. Loving Jesus has nothing to do with gender. And you know, I truly believe that like every tree in the kingdom, in this wonderful world that we live in has differences, we humans have different personality. Unfortunately, humans like to put people into boxes, whether it's a gender box, a sexuality box. You know, I believe that you love who you love and you can't choose who you love. Now there's who you love, and then there's lust, and then there's a lifestyle that's filled with perversion and drug festivals and whatever else that is harmful to the temple. So I think that we as individuals have to protect our temple from the lust and the overly sexualized world that we live in, the pedophilia, all the things that are dirty, that are polluting our world and our children. And I believe that this whole gender thing has been, like, what's the word I'm looking for, has been like taken or hijacked by politics to push an agenda to medicalize people and their condition. Now, the condition is that people have a different personality. There's some women that are very masculine and there's some men that are very feminine. Well, they want to fit into the little gender box and we feel like we're normal. So transsexualism is the byproduct of that, you know? And we need to love each other unconditionally, but that includes loving ourselves unconditionally, loving ourselves enough not to have to get on synthetic hormones for the rest of your life that will damage your endocrine system, not to do horrific things to your body that will damage you for as long as you live and will shorten your lifespan. So I think that's where people are being misled, is what do you do with this? Do you just shine your true self and your personality, or do you try to change to fit into society? And when you try to change and fit into society, you're going to do things that are not good for you or for the people around you.
So Brandon says, hey, so did Jesus change water to wine? Like, did he realistically do that, or was it some magic stuff happening? Or is the water/wine story just a meaning of something? And that's something we could look into in another show.
I believe that as alchemy, and back in the day, and they did say that Jesus did go to India and he learned a lot of different magic and things that they were able to do, because we did have a lot of abilities that were shut down as we were dumbed down. But I think that he was able, as alchemy, change one material into something else. In my opinion, what I've read in the past.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's another meaning for it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like that there's some metaphorical something or other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see.
Emilia says judgment.
What?
Emilia said judgment.
Yeah, because what we were talking about, like that whole dipped in blood robe and all that. It's like, sounds like judgment.
Yeah.
Been catching you a while, more than today. Absolutely. Mark says Damien. Inbred says Richie.
For sure, exactly. We have
some video. We have some videos. I'm not sure. Very eloquently said, "What a gift to find you both."
Thank you, Becky.
We just want to do our part. Damien says, "Be aware. Don't hate yourself. I'm learning still."
It's very hard, you know, Damien, because we've been taught from the time we're little to hate ourselves. Our parents weren't given a manual, and unfortunately, you know, they had a lot of junk they came with, and then that junk that they came with kind of got transferred into us, and then we have kids, we kind of transfer it to our kids and like that, and it's a vicious cycle that we need to learn to get very far away from it. But I believe, Damien, that we are heading towards tremendous awakening, revealing, healing. Wonderful things are coming our way. And 2019 is going to be an incredible year. There might be a lot of disasters in our planet, but that's part of the cleansing. That's part of the cleaning that has to happen, the refinement.
Lynn has a bunch of connected Lotus, aka Lynn has a bunch of hearts up there. It's always nice to see hearts.
Yes, hearts are beautiful.
Phoenix says, what about men that cut off their junk to be around the harems and priestesses? Is God turning back on them too?
Well, no one's saying that God's turning their back on anyone. I mean, I'm sure that God loves everyone. But the question is, do these people love themselves by doing these things to themselves, by saying, let's leave God off of the equation. When you're telling yourself that you're not good enough the way that you are, and that you have to literally mangle your body to feel that you belong, to feel that you're fitting into whatever it is you're trying to fit to, something's wrong with that, because these surgeries are very harmful. Your endocrine system is an important system. When you start messing with that, it's like everything else just starts to fall apart, because we're all interconnected. It's like, what's that? The red bone's connected to the backbone, that little song they have. You know, your adrenal glands are connected to your thyroid glands, to your pituitary gland. Everything works in like a beautiful balance. When you start to remove things, now you're making yourself twinkle.
And
like
the
limp.
concern that you may find yourself having this problem is that you end up shutting down a part of your spiritual essence by disconnecting something that's connected that you don't really understand.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't think the body was ever meant
to be
opened up.
No, and it's like it's like just people that get cosmetic surgeries because they don't like their nose, or women that think that by getting a boob job they're just going to be happier, and then you're looking at the ramifications of all these type of surgeries, how it ends up destroying the quality of life, and as you age things become worse. So we're telling people it's okay to mess yourself up just to try to fit into the ideal of what you think you should be. What about telling people, hey, you're perfect the way you are? If you're a man and you're more feminine than the average guy, it's okay. It's who you are. That's beautiful. If you're a woman and you're more masculine than your average woman, that's okay. It's who you are. That's beautiful. But instead, we're telling people, no, go fix yourself because you don't fit into the little box. So go destroy yourself, go shorten your life, become sterile, hurt yourself and hurt everybody else around you just so that you could live your little fantasy.
Tracy says, well, Emily says, you're perfect.
That's right. Every one of us is perfect.
Tracy says, just be your true self. Who can tell you that you're doing it wrong, quote unquote? And Phoenix says, they had to be around the concubines. They had no choice. And Billy Bob's the one that's been contacting us. Hey, I want to talk to you guys. Here's my number. Okay. He left it again here for an interview. And he says that something about video talk or something with Trump and Koresh or I don't know.
Hello, she said. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hope your cleaning went well.
Yes. Cleaning is always good. I love
Connected
cleaning.
Lotus says, we have to all learn we are already perfect, including me.
Yes, yes. And it's you know, it's like we're always told you're perfect, but now change, you know, and that's where I find a problem in the message of the gender confusion, because people are being told that you could only do male if you are only doing male a certain way, or you can only do female if you're doing female a certain way. And so the medical community takes advantage of that. And they will put a horn on your head if you pay them to do so. They don't care, because all they are looking at is this. You know, we are perfect the way that we are. There is no need for us to alter our body and mess up, you know, the temple. And the temple and the spirit, they do a beautiful dance together. And who knows if these Anunnaki reptilians have created this whole, you know, perversion of our body so that we can't leave this place, so that we become so consumed with self that we forget about our spirituality. And I truly believe that it's part of the plan, that the whole gender confusion thing is part of the Anunnaki and reptilian plans. And originally it might have been started for something pure of creating a balance between our male and our female side, that beautiful yin and yang dance that we do. And they took that and they go, we're going to mess this up. Let's throw a wrench in this, you know, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, so focusing too much on that flesh, less on the spirit makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, they want money.
Yeah, money.
You know?
Oh my God, there is so much that money that they're making. And they're like shooting at the hip because they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're being Frankensteins and we are being the guinea pigs.
But I think there's a place where society can evolve to.
Yeah.
Where they can accept people and not polarize them just because they dress a certain way or look a certain way or choose to carry themselves a certain way. And if that way is more closely resembled to a feminine person or it's more closely resembled to a masculine person, that, you know, society could evolve to the place where they could just accept people for being human.
Exactly.
You know,
and isn't that what we all are? Human.
Sex realities are glaringly obvious, right? They're real. But, you know, they have only the purpose for them is sexual reproduction. So once you take out the gonads and the body parts that are related to that, we're all just human beings.
Exactly.
You know?
And getting ourselves stuck in this constant dog chasing its tail regarding gender doesn't allow us to evolve spiritually. You know, because most trans people, it's like tunnel vision. You know, that's all they think about. Life is going to be better if I do this. Life is going to be better. And that's all part of the materialistic world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't see why it has to be so polarized. You know, the dualism and this categorization that, you know, if you don't fit here, you got to fit here.
And we fell for that.
Here, you got to fit here.
Obviously, we fell for that because we were not evolved at that point where, you know, we were hurting. And we've done shows where we've explained about reasons why people do this. There's a lot of childhood traumas. There's a lot of neurological impairments. There's a lot of chemical interaction, a lot of estrogenic compounds in our world.
Artificial
That is actually creating this confusion and messing the neurological system of children who, as young as 3 or 5 years old, are battling with their parents because they think they're born in the wrong body. And there's something to this. There's something that's being done to humanity. So we need to love one another. We need to uplift one another. We need to teach our children that they're perfect the way that they are. We need to teach our children that gender or changing your gender is not going to solve your problems. That, you know, this is the body that they were given and they should honor it and love it and express away. Be you, be the most beautiful you that you can be. You know, that's pretty much, you know, the great thing. Well, we've gotten to our manifestation moment of our show today. Manifestation and / meditation. I want you guys to sit in a very relaxed position. Begin with breathing. Breathing is so important. Breathing correctly, allowing every cell of your body to receive the gift of air and exchange of carbon dioxide. Breathing in through your nose and letting it out your mouth. Becoming mindful of your breath. Becoming mindful of your stomach going out and in as you gently breathe. Today's manifestation moment is about forgiveness. Forgiveness is an important tool to consider for our spiritual growth. Without it, we are not fully equipped to rise above the things that keep us entrapped in this third dimension. To free ourselves from the burden of holding on to the negative, we must learn to sever the ties we have with the wrongdoings of either our own or of others. Let us visualize the events and mentally rid ourselves one by one of the ties they have on us today. Continue breathing and relaxing. Let us imagine a box, an empty box that we will fill with all of our past memories and actions that require our forgiveness. One by one, we take the thought captive and place it in the empty box. As we place the thought in the box, we will say, I forgive you, mother, father, brother, sister, lover, husband, wife, and self. Whomever the forgiveness is meant for and whatever needs to be forgiven, place it in the box. I forgive you, mother, for all the harm that you've caused me when I needed you to guide me as a little girl. Placing that thought in a box. I forgive you, Father, for not being understanding and being a violent man, and you allowed a substance to take over your life and hurt Mother and I. I want you all to say out loud, because words that are spoken are powerful, and to speak out loud those that you want to forgive and those that you need to forgive. I forgive you, Marie, for hurting me when I was just a little girl and you know better, for molesting me all these years. I forgive myself for not forgiving those that hurt me in the past. All must be forgiven. Continue to place all these forgiveness and these thoughts into this box. Once the box is full, we will imagine a warm light hovering over the box. The warmth increases to the point where it becomes very hot. The box is now on fire. We are burning all that needs to be forgiven. It no longer exists in our realm. not in our thoughts, not in our minds. We release all the wrongdoing and pains that we have caused ourselves or others in the past. Forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. I forgive. I forgive. I forgive. I am forgiven. I am forgiven. I am forgiven. And so it is, my dear ones. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
I get these downloads of what I feel is needed for us to manifest, for us to heal from all the old wounds, from all the things that we have gone through. And this is something that you could work on. And if you guys need me to send you these manifestation moments to your personal email, I could go ahead and do that. Just email me and I will send it to you, the one we did yesterday and the one today. And I'm keeping them all as I get the downloads every day to do this at the end of the show as our manifestation moments. If there's anything that you would like for us to manifest for you, I could put it together in a form this way, and then we would, as a group, do it together. And visualize this. Thank you, she said. She said it was a powerful visualization.
Lori did too.
It's
so powerful, brother. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. I think it's important for us to use these tools so we could heal, so we could tear away the old and rebuild, connect the DNA. And as I continue to get these downloads, you know, I will continue to do this so that we could practice. And again, doing it on your own, you know, on your own time as a form of really tapping into your inner self. And so that you could remove the baggages that are keeping you in that level of anger, fear, guilt, and lack of forgiveness. So, does anyone have any questions? Anything else you would like to discuss? Thank you, Lori. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Also, writing down things needful to release and burning the paper in a rituals is my New Year's Eve go-to every year.
That's very powerful as well. Very powerful.
Phoenix says, I have my shawl wrapped around you both. Love and kisses. Heads up. Be proud. You are born a human being. Peace. Human race.
Thank you. Thank you. Phoenix.
Becky wrote, thank you, beautiful spirits. And thank you all, beautiful spirits in the chat. Much love to you all.
Much love to you too, Becky. Thank you. Thank you. So if you have anything else to say or add, and
I'm just glad that we can, again, be here today and sharing these things. And, you know, we are learning just as much as all of you are. And we don't consider ourselves smarter or above you or anything like that. We're all equals.
We're all equal.
And it's wonderful to have. The more interaction we have with you guys, the better. Email us. We'd love to talk to each and every one of you. You know, we do phone calls too. I mean, we talk to people. We share, and we're very transparent. So, and we are who we are.
Yes.
Your name's Mark. My name's Lena. And we're not like personas. We're just people.
People growing and learning and creating with our human family as we go along, so that we could get out of this present planet. Thank you, Billy Bob, for
call, please. But I don't know why. We don't want to get involved in any controversial anything. Like I don't really want to get mixed up with stuff against Derek, and it's like we've been through the controversy enough already. So
Tracy says, I love the manifestation moment. Very powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Glad you enjoyed it. And And Tracy says, "Oh, so sweet. Love you all. We love you.
Yes, you are
Love
awesome.
you. We love you." Billy Bob, what is it that you want to talk about?
Yeah, no.
Send me an email to transitionradioshow@gmail.com and tell me what it is that you want to talk about, before we call. Phoenix said, "Good night," and write down your dreams. They can and will help you with this piece. Thank you. I'm a very, very big believer in dreams and that they all have, my dreams have been very powerful to my awakening. I, a lot of times, have very prophetic dreams. And
yeah, mine come and go because I don't write them down.
Well, that's why every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I try to do like a little recall of what I dreamed before I open my eyes fully and get out of bed. Because once you get out of bed and move around, it's kind of like it's gone, But writing them down is actually a good thing.
So we're gonna see. Well, Billy Bob, you are welcome to email us, and we'll definitely look into whatever you're saying. But we don't just call people because they want to be called or something,
Yeah. So
but I think it's we're gonna be here tomorrow.
Yep.
It's gonna have another manifestation moment.
And then it comes down and I write it. So we'll see.
I can't, say that I'm not bummed that I can't pray anymore, but it is what it is. I need to adjust and flow into this, whatever this is doing, and
it's powerful. All right, have an amazing night, Lena Mark. Chad, I love you, beautiful spirits. Peace be with you. Thank you, Lori. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
But I'm adjusting, and working it through. I think there's a way to speak to things as well, that is also powerful.
Of course.
So I'm going to try to figure out how that works, because I really do think that that's something that we can, speak over our circumstances and speak over our lives and speak over our loved ones. And,
And the manifestation moments are like tools for healing, for empowering, for connecting the DNA that's been disconnected. And you got to work through certain things. Like a lot of people have problems with forgiveness. A lot of people have problems with holding on to pain and things. And so by learning how to work through all this stuff, it helps them be able to elevate.
Oh, I'm not taking away from what it means and
stroke brain slow
and what can happen. I'm just saying that I think there's a place for speaking things into people's lives that aren't necessarily the manifestation moment type of a, visualization, but more of a conscious, speaking towards with compassion. If people wanted to let us know that, they're dealing with this struggle or that, or they're glad for this thing happening in their lives, and we can just kind of share in that.
So Billy Bob says stroke brain slow. So sorry about that, Billy Bob. I'm an occupational therapist, so I've had many patients with neurological impairment due to stroke, brain injuries, and things of that sort. So
Phoenix says, you dream from 3 until awake.
Yeah.
So put a paper and pen by your bed if you want.
This is good exercise, definitely.
All right.
All right. So guys, we're going to end the show with one of my originals, which I think is very apropos, called Enslaved. And hopefully now that we get a better microphone, it will sound much better.
Well, I can play it on the speaker next time.
Yeah. So guys, thank you for joining us. We love you. But remember to always love yourselves too. That is so important, guys. Good night. And let me set this thing up here. Good night.
imagination of your mind to tell you how to think and find. If you decide to go astray, you'll never see the light of day in slave. And you call us freedom, free to pay your taxes and told what to do. All lies and so illusion. I came to this conclusion that it's all a game. You graduate with your degrees, the loans you have to pay are steep. They have you by the neck and balls, you'll never be ahead at all. The bills keep stacking on the roof, the time passes and you're alone. Your marriage is about to end, your children have been heaven sent, enslaved, and you call us freedom, free to pay your taxes and told what to do. All lies, this whole illusion. I came to this conclusion that it's all a game. You have so hard all your life, sick and tired of advice. You came up with some weird disease, the pharmaceuticals released. You're getting ready to retire. You are so sick, you are on fire. They stick you in a nursing home, and all you want for now is gone enslaved. And you call us freedom, free to pay your taxes and told what to do. Do that woman all lies. This whole illusion. I came to this conclusion that it's all a game, that enslaved. And you call us freedom, free to pay your taxes and told what to do. All the lies. This whole illusion. I came to this conclusion